Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, verse number 6. Yavailastu Sri Tulasi Vimishra Krishnangreno Bhikam Bhunetri. So that verse, Punati Lokan Bhubhyatra Sheshan.
What's it mean?
That means that this Ganges river emanating from the lotus feet of Krishna, mixed with the tulsi leaves and dust of Krishna's lotus feet.
Yes.
And then that is how it is flowing. Whoever takes bath, it will purify, including Lord Shiva. Punati Lokan Vobhayatra Sesh.
Yes.
Yes. Custom.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Where's Sham? Are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
I can hear
sorry.
you.
I had some issues with my laptop. Suddenly, all of a sudden, nothing was working. So I was just getting it sorted. So sorry about that for today.
But I don't see you.
Yes, Prabhuji. I am switching on my video.
There you are.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. I'm so sorry. So all of a sudden nothing was working, and I was just trying to get it sorted out, and I just informed Amoga Prabhu about it. That I'm struggling here with this thing.
Always technical issues. Technical.
Yes, Prabhuji. I'm just going to just give me a minute, and I'm going to just get this. So I had to just switch over to my this thing, actually. I'm just going to be back in a minute, Prabhuji.
And also one more point while Shyam Prabhuji is we were discussing. So this when Vamanadev, when he has pierced that universe cell, and when the water was coming down, there are so many celestial airplanes. They're carrying that water to different planets, Dhruloka and all other the seven sages. Prabhupada has described that one in the 5th canto, chapter 17. So celestial airplanes which are carrying those waters. That is very beautiful to hear.
What does Prabhupada say? Celestial airplanes are carrying it to different places in the universe.
Yes, and it goes to Dhruloka, and then from there, 7 Saptarishis, they take and those waters, and then this celestial.
Hare Krishna. Amoga Prabhu, you were mentioning about that you were trying to. Yeah, okay, now it's good. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, I got in.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Sham.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just managed to get back into my iMac. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Your mandir, your temple's looking very good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And the lamp is straight as well.
That's my divine time space at home where I spend my evenings. Yeah, doing my little bit of kirtan for Radha Gokulananda every evening. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining. Prabhuji, we missed your association earlier. Hope it's all going well, and yeah, I couldn't make it to Soho Temple, but yeah.
No, I'm okay. Go ahead.
Prabhuji. Amoga Prabhu is he's like Singhu is iPhone 30. Who's this? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It's Swarup here.
Hare Krishna. Sham. Yeah, Sham, welcome
I tried to change the name, but somehow it keeps on coming back with iPhone 30. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem, Prabhu.
Yeah, but if you press it now, you can change the name now.
Yeah, you can just rename it. Yeah.
Yeah, rename it for now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to do that just now. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, with your permission, I was just thinking, do a quick obeisances and just dive into that in the interest of time.
Yes. Go right ahead.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Amoga Prabhu will go directly into the things, the Krishna Katha.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Just that we lost a bit of time, so just for everybody's sake. Okay, so I am going to be sharing my screen. 58. Okay, let me share. Sanchit Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanavad Pranam to all the devotees. Prabhu, just quickly, your name is showing as Amogadas, so maybe you can change it to your name.
Yeah, I'll do mine as well. I'm just kind of like using.
There's two Amogadas there.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we are going into another new chapter. Real excited, another nectar coming up. So we've seen in the last chapter, and before we start, we just did the invocation, and we always mention about how precious it is to listen to Krishna Katha, where Krishna mentions that even if anybody was listening to Krishna Katha towards the end of their life, they will go directly to the Krishna Loka. That's how purifying it is to listen to Krishna Katha. And especially in the association of devotees, it's even more nectar. So with that, with your permission, we'll just dive into this Krishna Katha. So we covered these 5 queens married by Krishna. So one of the very important thing, because one thing that comes to mind for most of our devotees, as well as for people who are new to Krishna consciousness, or people who even had a little bit of knowledge about Krishna, they always ask this question saying that why is like Krishna marries like 16,000 queens, and why does he has so many wives and things like that. But I think to very clearly understand as devotees of Krishna, we should all be very, very well versed, because as Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, which means Krishna's appearance and Krishna's divine pastimes, his karma, his birth, his karma, and everything, it is Janma Karma Cha Divyam. These are all to be understood on the spiritual platform. So we have to be very, very clear at the very onset that whenever we're talking about Krishna Katha, we are talking about the Supreme Lord of the universe, and we're talking about all these different beautiful pastimes that have happened in a spiritual level. Krishna is called as Atma Rama, which means he's always self-satisfied, and he's not someone who's not looking at he doesn't indulge in kind of try to get happiness from this material universe, material nature. And so these things are happening because even the 5 queens getting married by Krishna, these are all because of reciprocation. Krishna doesn't need anything from this material world, but because they were constantly, everybody who came across Krishna, they were so much in love with Krishna, because the very name of Krishna is called as all attractive, right? Krish means attractive, and Na means full of bliss. So whether it is Rukmini Mata, who sent a letter to Krishna, please asking to come and take her, and she's made up her mind. And similarly, like there's so many princes have been seen in this chapter as well, who actually request Krishna to come and marry him. It was a dream for them to marry. So we have covered in the last session about how Krishna went and married so many of them, including the Satyabhama as well. So all these are beautiful pastimes that have happened where Krishna is constantly reciprocating. He goes with Arjuna, and then he comes across another person who is actually a personification of Yamuna, and she's daughter of sun god, and he marries her as well. So like that, we find like in the different pastimes, Krishna is literally reciprocating to many of these queens who have requested to come and marry them, right? So this is something which we have to be very clear, that Krishna is only marrying all of them out of reciprocation. And we will come to know later also. And And another beautiful pastime is unfolding where we will get a lot of clarity on some of the good pastimes. And as we mentioned, so this chapter we covered about the 5 queens whom Krishna marries, but then next chapter we are going ahead. The description of Krishna's marriage with the five girls mentioned in the last chapter is not sufficient. He had many other thousands of wives beside them. Krishna accepted the other thousands of wives after killing a demon named Baumasura. And all these thousands of girls were held captive in the prince of Baumasura, and Krishna released them and married them. So we're coming across, we're starting off with another new chapter, which is called as chapter number 59, the deliverance of the demon Baumasura. I hope I spelled it right, Baumasura. Yeah, so we're going to just start off with another chapter. So I hope everybody is geared up with us bells on. We're going to dive into another beautiful chapter of Krishna's Leelas. Krishna's Leelas are so enchanting. They give so much of joy. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Matchitta Madgata Pranam Bodhayante Parasparam Katayantascha Mam Nityam Tusyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. Where Krishna says, my devotees, they're great. They're always, their thoughts are always dwell in me. Krishna is saying, the thoughts of my devotees always dwell in me, and they get great joy, they get bliss and satisfaction by always enlightening each other about me. So this is the essence, right? We are always enlightening among the devotees, the devotee association, speaking about Krishna Katha, speaking about the divine Leelas of Krishna, which brings so much of joy to the devotees. This is what brings real bliss and satisfaction, because this is what makes your Atma happy, not your senses, because the master of all our senses is called as Rishikesha. So when we are hearing this Krishna Katha, Krishna sitting in everyone's heart becomes very pleased. And when Krishna becomes pleased, because he's called as Rishikesha, the master of all our senses, then automatically our senses also become happy. Just like when you water the roots of a tree, all the branches and every one of get nourished. Or when the food enters into the stomach, all the different parts of the body get nourished. So similarly, when Krishna Katha is listened, all our senses become very, very blissful. So deliverance of the demon Baumasura. So here we are starting off with a new story. This is something which is very, very important for all the devotees for understand, because we are the Krishna devotees who have to just pass this beautiful knowledge with everyone and remove the cobwebs that people have about Krishna, right? The story of Baumasura, how he kidnapped and made captive 60,000 princes by collecting them from the palaces of his kings, and how he was killed by Krishna, the supreme lord of wonderful character. So we've seen so many beautiful leelas having is to so far till now, and including Shishupal, and as we have heard about, and so now we are coming across a new character who's entering into the scene. His name is Baumasura, and you can see that he's captive. He is taken into captive 16,000 princes. That's like a big number, isn't it? So you can imagine how powerful he was that he would do something like that. In all described by Sukadeva Swami to the King Parikshit in Srimad Bhagavatam. So as we all know, Krishna Katha, this Krishna book is being picked up from Srimad Bhagavatam. Many times in the temple, I ask them, like, you heard about Facebook, but have you ever heard about KrishnaBook? And everybody's like, no, what is KrishnaBook, And then I tell them, like, it's just not Facebook. There's something called KrishnaBook, which is full of nectar, which is full of joy. That's the one which really has the real pastimes of Sri Krishna. So we can find that here, this Krishna Katha, this Krishna book is taken from Srimad Bhagavatam, where it's being narrated by Sukadeva Goswami to King Parikshit. Generally, the demons are always against the demigods. And this demon, Baumasura, having become very powerful, took by force the umbrella from the throne of the demigod Varuna. He also took the earrings of Aditi, the mother of the demigods. He conquered the portion of heavenly Mount Meru known as Parvata and occupied it. The king of the heavenly planets, Indra, therefore came to Dwaraka to complain of Baumasura before Lord Krishna. So it's very interesting, isn't it? Just imagine you are in New Delhi, right? That's where the Prime Minister is. Or you are there in 10 Downing Street, and that's where the Prime Minister is. And then you would get to see some of the MPs and ministers coming to meet the Prime Minister. But here you can talk about, we are just talking about a real-time scenario where in the place of Dwaraka, where Krishna was there, even the demigods like Indra would come and visit them. if you've seen earlier also, we've seen, right? We've seen that, Satyabhama's father also, he just comes there with the diamond. So and people thought like maybe it is Indra or someone like that. So it's so common at that point of time that that people like him, like Indra, also would come to the Dwarka, and this is for a reason. And you can see how powerful this Baumasura is, that he even took the throne of the demigod Varuna. So you can imagine how powerful he must have been, and took the earrings of Aditi, the mother of the demigods, and conquering Mount Meru. So this is something like something which is beyond our comprehension, isn't it? So we can imagine we are talking about totally a different yuga called Dwapar Yuga, right? Because nowadays in Kali Yuga, we don't even last for 100 years. And, it is something like our lives are short, our knowledge are short. The power that we can extend also is short, right? So, but we can see that during the time of Dwapar Yuga, how powerful even the demoniac people were. And that's the reason why to come over those kind of people, to annihilate such kind of a powerful demons, Krishna had to just come. And as he mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhuna vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samstapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Where Krishna says, I come for that purpose, to annihilate the demoniac people like Baumasura. So Krishna comes with a specific purpose, two purposes: for his devotee, for the love of his devotees, and he gives Bhagavad Gita for to annihilate the miscreants, and for which we have this Bhagavatam. Hearing this complaint by Indra, the king of heaven, Lord Krishna, accompanied by his wife Satyabhama, immediately started for the abode of Baumasura. So we can see that, especially, when even it was beyond even the demigods to handle Baumasura. So you can imagine how powerful he was. So they had to go to Krishna and complain to him. So Krishna, accompanied by Satyabhama, rode to the back of Garuda, who flew them to Pragyotisa-pura, Baumasura's capital city. Interestingly, many of these places, they're still there. We covered in the last chapter where there's a place called Ujjain as well, like, where these are all part of the Dwapara Yuga. In fact, Mathura is still there, Vrindavan is there, and all these places are still there. To enter the city of Pragyotisa-pura was not a very easy task because it was very well fortified. First of all, there were 4 strongholds guarding the 4 directions of the city, which was well protected on all sides by formidable military strength. The next boundary was a water canal all around the city. And in addition to the whole city was surrounded by electric wires. The next fortification was of anila, a gaseous substance. After this, there was a network of barbed wire constructed by a demon of the name Mura. The city appeared well protected even in today's terms of today's scientific advancement. So one of the important things that we have to understand is, unlike some of the narrative that's given by, like in some other parts of the world where they think like, man came from monkey, and, there's an impression that, we are slowly, gradually, with the period of time that, we started progressing in this human form of life. But you can, if you listen to the Vedic literature, if you see the way the whole universe was formed, if you read to the Bhagavatam, we understand that it was not so. The very first intelligent person itself was Brahma, right? He created this universe, and from there, Brahma, Krishna also mentions, right? Imam vivasvate yogam proktavanaham avyayam vivasvan manave pra. How this knowledge also got passed on from time to time. So it's not like people were like living like barbarians, but in fact, those kind of a time, the people had such immense memory, they had such a long life, they had such beautiful, imagine something like Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses, somebody could memorize and pass it on to the next person. We can't even remember some of the slokas from Bhagavad Gita, what to speak about 18,000 verses of Bhagavatam. So that was, so we cannot even fathom the kind of memory that people had in those days. They were so intelligent, and they had so much of a life. In Bhagavad Gita, we see like 75 years, bro. Bhishma Pitama was going like a lion at the age of 175 years. So that's the kind of a period that we were talking about. And we can see, like, even today, if we go to some other places like the forts, whether in UK or whether in India also, we see different levels of way the security that's been arranged. And the same here in this case of Baumasura's capital city, Pragyotisapura as well, that is so well guarded with the water canals and things like that. In fact, I think some of the places where you have a corridor that passes through, and then you have crocodiles and everything in the water being put up and things like that. So they had multiple ways in which they fortified their forts and their palaces and things like that, so that even if something goes wrong, they have the next level of defense. So when Krishna arrived, so Krishna goes with Satyabhama on Garuda, and now we can see that another Leela is unfolding. So as I always mention with Krishna Katha, it is never static. It's fully dynamic with so much of action that happens all the time whenever the Krishna is there. That's why, and whenever the Krishna is there, there's always going to be victory. When Krishna arrived, he broke all the strongholds to pieces by the strokes of his club. It scattered the military strength here and there by the constant onslaught of his arrows. With his celebrated Sudarshana Chakra, he contracted the electrified boundary, annihilated the canals of water and the gaseous boundary, and cut to pieces the electrified network fabricated by the demon Mura. So we can see that, and by the vibration of his conch shell, he broke the hearts of the great fighters and also broke the fighting machines that were there. Similarly, he broke the walls around the city with his invisible club. So everything is divyam, right? Whatever Krishna does is completely divyam. So here we can see that no matter Baumasura would have, he's so powerful demon, and his arrangements are also very fortified, but it was no match for Krishna. We've seen that right from the time of when even when Kamsa invited Krishna to come to Mathura, and he had a very kind of evil plan. He planned the elephants to come and stop Krishna. He planned the wrestlers, and we see in all that, in spite of all that, they were no match for Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme Lord in the universe. And everything about Krishna is infinite. His strength, unlimited. That's why we call Krishna as Bhagwan. Unlimited strength, unlimited beauty, everything is in unlimited. Right? So we can see that just by the strokes of his club, he just scattered the military strength. And also we can see how powerful the conch shell was, that just by the vibration, even though it shattered the hearts of the great fighters. So we can imagine, right? See, the same thing happened even before the Kurukshetra started, that Krishna blew his conch shell as well, and that sent a loud message to the people, to the enemies. So we can see that here, even though there were multiple levels of boundaries that have been put up, fortified, but still there were no match, and Krishna just could easily come over all of that with his Sudarshana Chakra and also with his arrows. So Krishna's strength is unlimited. So we can see that even at the age of 7 years, he lifts a Govardhan mountain, to what to speak about something like this. The vibration of Lord Krishna's conch shell sounded like a thunderbolt at the time of the dissolution of the whole cosmic manifestation. The demon Mura heard the vibration of the conch shell, awakened from his sleep, and came out to see what has happened, because he's the one who's done all this arrangement, this Mura demon. He had 5 heads and had long been living within the water. The Mura demon was as brilliant as the sun at the time of the dissolution of the cosmos. And his temper was like blazing fire. The effulgence of his body was so dazzling that he was difficult to see with open eyes. When he came out, he first took out his trident and rushed the supreme personality of Godhead. The demon Mura, in his onslaught, was like a big snake attacking Garuda. His angry mood was very severe, and he appeared ready to devour the 3 worlds. First of all, he attacked the carrier of Krishna, Garuda, by whirling and then throwing his trident. And through his 5 mouths, he vibrated sounds like the roaring of a lion. These roaring vibrations spread all over the atmosphere until they extended all over the world and into the outer space, up and down, and onto the 10 directions, rumbling through the entire universe. So we can see that, Baumasura is he's made all the arrangements, including the fortification that has been done by Mura. And now we can see that Mura was just actually living in this water. And once he heard this Krishna's conch shell, he comes out, and he's, obviously he's the one who has made all the arrangements. So he's like, he's very showing his power. And you can imagine even the demoniac people, they had such kind of immense power that he was ready to even the Garuda of Krishna. That is like, you can't even think like somebody would be able to do that. And his angry mood and just even the vibration, like roaring of a lion. So that is something which is seems to be like a very, very powerful demon that he would be living in with 5 heads and within the water. It's very strange, isn't it? Brahma himself has 4 heads, and here we find somebody having 5 heads. But this is the yuga of Dwapara Yuga, so we do not know what kind of power that people had in those days. But trident is something like which something like with the one which Trishul kind of thing, which Shiva used to hold, maybe something like that, which has used in this fight with Krishna. And see, this is what happens, right? In the war also, you try to attack the elephant, or you attack even the horses, on which the people go out for the fighting. And here you find that this Mura also was trying to do that. He's attacking the carrier of Krishna, and kind of like the power, that vibration that he's spreading across, that it's extending all over the world. So this is a different time that these demons existed. Lord Krishna saw that the trident of the Mura demon was rushing towards his carrier, Garuda. Immediately, by a trick of his hand, he took 2 arrows and threw them towards the trident, cutting it into pieces. Simultaneously, using many arrows, he pierced the mouths of the demon Mura. When the Mura demon saw himself outmaneuvered by the Supreme Lord, he immediately began to strike the Lord in great anger with his club. But Lord Krishna, with his own club, broke the club of Mura to pieces before it could reach him. The demon, bereft of his weapon, decided to attack Krishna with his strong arms. But Krishna, with the aid of his Sudarshan Chakra, immediately separated the demon's 5 heads from his body. The demon then fell into the water, just as the peak of a mountain falls into the ocean after being struck by the thunderbolt of Indra. What an analogy that's been given, isn't it? That the 5 heads, they just fell just like a mountain falls into the ocean. So we can see that in this material world, there's a kind of a false ego. We say, like, when you have so much of power, you think you are invisible, right? That's happened with Hiranyakashipu as well. So proud of his power that he was challenging, Bhakta Prahlad. Are you saying because he was so envious of God? So one of the typical qualities of demonic people is they are very, very envious of everyone. They're envious of even God, right? And this is one of the demoniac qualities. Exactly on the opposite side, Krishna says one of the qualities which make very dear a person very dear to Krishna is someone who's free from false ego. Advaita sarvabhutanam maitra karuna evacha. Someone who's free from false ego, who's not envious, who's free from false ego. But here you can see that Mura demon was rushing with this by the trick of with this trident, and it's very, very interestingly. I'm sure if Nagaraj Prabhu is there, I'm sure he can relate. He's not there, but I'm sure he could relate to this. When we grew up, we used to watch movies on Krishna, and in that movie, they used to show with a club, where you just throw into the air, and they were so powerful, they would just throw it from different places, the clubs, and the clubs would just go and bang into each other, and whoever is powerful, those clubs would go and bang into the person. So we can find that here also the same thing was happening. And, first of all, he's throwing a trident, and Krishna, just with the help of his arrow, breaks his trident and cuts into pieces. And these are something which we witnessed when we were small. We used to see that in the movies, and we used to wonder, is this really true that all these things would happen at that time? We used to always think like that. But when you listen to this Krishna Katha and Bhagavatam, it is very clear that is how it used to happen in those days. Like when somebody throws the trident, another person, like Krishna here, so powerfully that he throws 2 arrows, which breaks the trident into pieces. And the same way, using many arrows, he pierces the mouth of the demon Mura. So that's how it is. Krishna was so powerful that anybody, no matter how powerful the demonic thing, because he's the source of everything, right? All the energies, everything is coming from Krishna. So you can never be more greater than the source from where all this energy is coming. Balam balavatam, Shaham. Krishna says, I'm the strength of the strong. So if somebody feels that they are strong, it's because it is something which has been given by Krishna. It has been gifted by Krishna. So when Mura thought that, okay, he threw the trident, that was not working, and then now he's cutting to pieces. So he was throwing his club so that he just wants to show him. That's what happens, isn't it? When demoniac people, when they try out different things, when that doesn't work, they become very furious and they want to just do something else. And here in this case, he was trying to use his club, and the demon bit after decided to attack him with his strong arms. So you can see that Mura is like such a kind of a demon. He was ready to even fight with Krishna, and Krishna easily cut him off with his Sudarshan Chakra. So very few times that Krishna uses like this, but yeah, the demonic people like that, it has to come to an end with this Sudarshan Chakra. So we can find that even the Baumasura is still there, but it looks like by the way things have happened, it must have happened when the people are sleeping. That's when Mura must have woken up to the sound, and he's just come here and to see what's going on. And now that he's attacking the Garuda and as well as Krishna, and now Krishna has put an end to him by chopping off his head, his 5 heads, with the help of with the Sudarshan Chakra. This demon Mura had 7 sons named Tamra, Antariksha, Shravana, Vibhavashu, Vasu, Nabaswan, and Aruna. All of them became puffed up and vengeful because of the death of their father. And to retaliate, they prepared in great anger to fight with Krishna. They equipped themselves with the necessary weapons and situated with another demon to act as commander in the battle. By the order of Baumasura, all of them combinedly attack Krishna. So we can see that the levels of attack, right? First of all, Krishna disarmed all the levels of fortification, all the levels of defense, whatever the Baumasura has arranged, all that was wiped out in terms of the water canals and things like that. Everything was continuous. So now the next level is to get the people prepared to attack. So now Mura is done with. Now his sons come into the picture. They're really obviously when the father dies, the sons, because they're chip of the block, he's a demonic people, and so obviously the sons, they want to venge for that, and they prepare as well, and along with another demon called Pita, but they were no match at all, and they combinedly attack Krishna on the orders of Baumasura. So Baumasura is kind of like directing all these things. When they came before Lord Krishna, they began to shower him with many kind of weapons, like swords, clubs, lances, arrows, and trident. We have to keep in mind that it's just Krishna here. Krishna did not come with his army, unlike when Rukmini, when he went to see Rukmini, he went along with his Yadava army, and later when Krishna was taking Rukmini, the Yadava army went and fought with all the people of right. But here in this case, it is not like that. Krishna just went along with Satyabhama on his Garuda. But even though he's a supreme Lord, right? Single-handedly, he's handling all these demoniac people. When they came before Lord Krishna, they began to shower, but with all the kind of weapons, clubs, lances, and all that, but they did not know the strength of the Supreme Lord is unlimited and invisible. This is what we have to understand. So when we talk about Krishna, we have to be very, very clear why Krishna is called as Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences, and Van means one who possesses the opulences. So Krishna possesses unlimited opulences, infinite, which is like which we can't fathom with our mind. So they were no match for him. But they did not know the strength of the Supreme Lord. Unlimited in with these arrows, cut all the weapons of the men of Baumasura into pieces like grains. So can you imagine, you're just like a small ant or a small bird coming and fighting with a human being? You can imagine, you would just so easily handle, right? So this was the case here, and sometimes we see even WWF fighting, they're huge and all that, and you can just imagine just an ordinary person going and fighting with the devil. It's just no match. You just take they'll just handle it like so ease. So we can see that the Supreme Lord, who is actually the source of all the strength and all that, and when someone like even Baumasura or even his children or anybody comes like this, they were just no match at all. Even though they came with the swords and clubs and all these things, they were just cut into pieces. And Krishna then threw his weapons, and Baumasura's commander-in-chief, Pita, along with his assistants, fell down. So we can see that Krishna is also of course, it's very interesting. Krishna is mentioned as Ratangapani Akshobhya Sarvaprahara Yuddha in Vishnu Sahasranamam, which has the 1,000 names of Krishna. In the final is mentioned Ratangapani Akshobhya Sarvaprahara Yuddha. Sarvaprahara Yuddha means whatever Krishna turns, whatever whatever thing that Krishna touches, he can turn it into a deadly weapon. So that is the power of Krishna. So the power comes from Krishna for any weapon that is going to be used. So here we can see that even though Baumasura's commander-in-chief, Pita, came along with them, they just fell down due to them. And the military dresses were cut off, and the heads, legs, arms, and these, everything was severed. And all of them were sent to the superintendent of death, Yamaraj. So this is the kind of a thing, right? The power that Krishna wields, that even though there could be any kind of a demonic people, just with a single person, as a single Lord itself, he was able to handle all these kind of people. And Baumasura, who was also known as Narakasura. It's very interesting because, when we grew up, we always knew about him as Narakasura. And but here we had to understand that even Narakasura had another name called Baumasura as well. So Baumasura was known as Narakasura, happened to be the son of the earth personified. So it's very interesting, even though he was a demonic person, he happened to be the son of earth personified. And we know that if you see the in the beginning of Krishna Katha, we find that it was Bhumi Devi, that Mother Earth, who was actually went to Brahma crying that there are so many demoniac people on this planet. Please come and save. Please come and do something about it. And that's when Brahma goes and prays to Lord Vishnu, right? So that's how we see that Krishna comes into the scene. So we can see that here this Baumasura or Narakasura actually is the son of Bhumi Devi. When he saw that all his soldiers, commanders, and fighters had been killed on the battlefield by the strokes of the weapon of the Supreme Lord Krishna, he became exceedingly angry at the Lord. He then came out of the city with great number of elephants who had all been born and brought up on the seashore. And all of them were highly intoxicated. When they came out, they saw that Lord Krishna and his wife were beautifully situated high in outer space, just like a blackish cloud above the sun, glittering with the light of electricity. So you can imagine the effulgence when Krishna is there on his Garuda along with Satyabhama. The demon, Baumasura, immediately released a weapon called Satagni, by which he could kill hundreds of warriors with one stroke, and all his assistants simultaneously threw their respective weapons at the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna counteracted all these weapons by releasing his feathered arrows. The results of this fight was that all the soldiers and commanders of Baumasura fell to the ground, their arms, legs, and heads separated from their trunks, and all their horses and elephants also fell with them. In this way, all the weapons released by Baumasura were cut to pieces by Lord's arrows. So, like there was recently a movie, obviously many of our Indians, we have seen Bahubali, where, they have this art with the same arrow with the bow, they could release like 5 arrows at one shot. So we had, even in Kurukshetra, they had Mahatmas who had so powerful that they could just kill 1,000 people with the strength and with their weapons that they used to use. So we had to understand that this is a different yuga, where all these things have happened, where the demonic people, everybody was so powerful at that point of time. So we can find that here also in Narakasura, who's so angry now that Mura has been killed and his chief has been killed. And now he comes with all these elephants and all these things, and he kind of like sees Krishna that he's there on his now along with Satyabhama, and he releases the weapon called Satagni. And even though he used such a deadly weapon which could kill thousands of people, it was no match for Krishna, who just counteracted with his feathered arrows. And because of Krishna's power, that they all fell to the ground, and the arms, legs, and everything was kind of like severed. So we can see that even though now Narakasura directly coming into the picture, and he's directly attacking Krishna with his weapon, Satagni, but in spite of this powerful weapon, there were no match, and Krishna was able to counteract so easily that they were literally wiped out, and their arms, legs, everything was separated. The Lord was fighting on the back of the Garuda, who was helping him by striking the horses and elephants with his wings and scratching their heads with his nails and sharp beak. So you can imagine what level of power even Garuda had. It's not like a normal eagle that we're talking about. This Garuda is a huge bird that which is carrying Krishna and Satyabhama. So even it was like part of this attack that Krishna was, encountering on these demons. So that's the thing, right? There were many people, like even Jatayu, when Lord Ram was there. Even Jatayu fought with with Ravana. So one of the most glorious life is when we are fighting for the Lord. That's a very, very glorious life. And even if you can be a foot soldier in Krishna consciousness, serving Prabhupada and serving Krishna, our life is meaningful. Our life is well used, because this material life, as Krishna says, Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktaha sharirina anasino prameyasya tasmad yudhyas bharata. Because this life is so short. Krishna says, this body which is covering this Atma is surely going to come to an end. It is a very for a very short time, Arjuna. So stand up and fight, because this is a very temporary body. It's there for a short period of time. So anything that you'd have, but you can see that even Garuda is serving Krishna. And this is the most glorious life, and this is the most meaningful life, when we are doing even a little bit of seva for Krishna, for the pleasure of Krishna, to fight his battles, to even pass on Bhagavad Gita to everyone. Neha Bikramana Susi Prachabhayona Vijyate. Swalpam Abhyasa. Even if you do a little bit of seva for Krishna, Krishna becomes pleased. So what to speak about this great service that Garuda is doing, where she is kind of like, you can see that even she's taking part in that and scratching the heads of the horses and elephants with a beak and things like that. And Baumasura alone remained on the battlefield, and he engaged himself in fighting with Krishna. He saw that Krishna's carrier, Garuda, has caused great disturbance to his soldiers and elephants, and in great anger, he struck the Garuda with all his strength, which defied the strength of a thunderbolt. Fortunately, Garuda was not an ordinary bird, and he felt the strokes given by Baumasura just as a great elephant feels the impact of a garland of flowers. I mean, you can just imagine Baumasura himself was so powerful that even, he was more powerful than even the demigods, and such kind of a powerful person was no match even for the Garuda. Because why? That's what happens with the association of being in the association of the Supreme Lord of the universe. You get unlimited strength, right? And this is the same thing happened with Arjuna also. Arjuna was undefeatable. He was the greatest warrior who fought with even Lord Shiva and got the Pashupati Astra. But the same Lord Arjuna was not even able to fight with ordinary street fighters after Krishna left this mortal planet. So this shows that all this strength, that when you are in the association of Krishna, when you are fighting for the pleasure of Krishna, Krishna will give you such kind of unlimited strength, unlimited, unfoundable, insurmountable skills, that you'll be able to, withstand anything. So this is what is happening, because Garuda was carrying and fighting for Krishna, that Garuda was even feeling that someone like a Baumasura, who with so much of his strength and trying to fight with Garuda, it was no match, and she was feeling just like the comparison given an elephant feels the garland of feathers. So we can imagine, like, it was not even feeling anything, that even though Baumasura was trying to strike Garuda with all his strength. So this is a very important thing. With every time we look at Krishna Katha, we have to take some moral of the story. We have to have some takeaways into our heart. They carry the nectar of devotion. And the most important thing we have to understand is, when you are fighting for Krishna, Krishna gives you the strength to fight your battles, because he is always there for you. And that's the reason why he says to Arjuna, Nimitra matra bhavya savya sachin, which you are just an instrument, Arjuna. I have made all the arrangements. You just go and do your duty. So this is what happens when we do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna makes all the arrangements. You just have to do your job. So here also, Garuda is just doing its part for Krishna, and you can feel, and then it gets immense strength to withstand even the power of Baumasura. Baumasura thus came to see that none of his tricks would act upon Krishna, and he became aware that all his attempts to kill Krishna would be frustrated. So he's come to that awareness. After some time, the realization comes, isn't it? The same thing happened with Jambavanta, right? When Jambavanta was there and he was fighting with Krishna for 28 days. And finally, Jambavanta could understand, my God, this is not possible. Somebody who is having this kind of a strength, it has to be the Supreme Lord. And finally, he was able to come to that realization. So here, even Baumasura is coming to that awareness that his attempts are being frustrated. He was no match. Yet he tried for the last time, taking a trident in his hand to strike him. And Krishna was so dexterous that before Baumasura could throw his trident, his head was cut off by the sharp Sudarshana Chakra. His head, illuminated by the earrings and a helmet, fell down on the battlefield. On the occasion of Baumasura's being killed by the Lord Krishna, all the demons, relatives, screamed in disappointment, and the saintly persons glorified the chivalrous activities of the Lord. taking this opportunity, the denizens of the heavenly planets showered flowers on the Lord. So this is something which is very unique, right? We always see that when the demigods is almost like they just enjoying this beautiful pastimes of the Lord, right? We on the planet, we are studying and reading through the pastimes, and we are relishing. And you imagine demigods are seeing everything live in action, and they're even more pleased, and they're showering flowers on the Lord, whether Krishna kills Baumasura or whether he kills Naraka, the Kamsa or anyone at all, Putana. So every time that Krishna does this pastime, the demigods are full of joy. So this is the thing, like, so this is something which we have to understand, that when we please the Lord, when the Lord becomes pleased, even the demigods, they become pleased, right? So there is no need for us to please each and every demigod. In fact, Krishna goes on to say that you do not need to worship my agents, you just directly worship me. And that's the reason why Krishna says, worship the Govardhan hill and you don't need to worship Indra. So here we can find that Baumasura was no match again, even though he tried to strike with the trident. Krishna cut him off again with the Sudarshana Chakra. So so we can find that in this chapter, in the previous chapter as well, that Krishna started using his Sudarshana Chakra, right? Because in the quite some chapters back, we wouldn't find so much of Krishna using it. But Krishna is full of nectar. Like every chapter, we'll find something fully action-packed from Krishna, that either he's using Sudarshana Chakra. He didn't have to use anything, because Krishna, even for the Supreme Lord, even if he wills it, everything will happen. Just imagine, just by Krishna's breathing, millions of universes get created. And so what to speak about these things just happening? By the will of Krishna, things can happen. But still, because there are pastimes, Krishna uses the Sudarshana Chakra to cut off the head of Baumasura. And you can find that obviously, whether it is Kamsa being killed, or whether it is, like any of Shishpal being killed, or any one of them, we can see that the demonic people, the relatives also, they get the great disappointment. The same thing happened, right, with whether any of the demonic people are killed, you find even the relatives, obviously, they are also not happy that something like this has happened. But on the other hand, the devatas are very happy, showering flowers on the Lord. At this time, the earth personified before Krishna and greeted him with the Vaijayanti flower garland. She then returned dazzling earrings of Aditi, bedecked with jewels and gold. She also returned the umbrella of Varuna along with the valuable jewel, which she presented to Krishna. After this, the earth personified Bhumi Devi offered her prayers to Krishna, the Supreme Lord and the Master of the world, who is always worshipped by the exalted demigods. She fell down in obeisances and in great devotional ecstasy began to speak. So we have to understand the position of Krishna, right? So many times, when you don't know anything about a person, you have a different impression, right? But when somebody tells, like, that person is not an ordinary person, he's a chairman of ISRO, or he's the prime minister of the country, immediately your impression is changed, right? You start respecting that person. You start looking at that person in a different light. Like, like once it so happened, the story that when young person was going for an interview, he sees an elderly man reading Bhagavad Gita. And he thought he's just an ordinary, he just makes a comment. Who's reading Bhagavad Gita in these days? It's an old text, an outdated one. I'm a science student. I believe in science and all that. So this elderly man who's reading Bhagavad Gita, he just, so he was just listening to this young guy who was actually making a comment that who's reading Bhagavad Gita in these days? I'm a science student. I believe in science. So this eldest man asked, like, so he asked him, like, what do you do? And he said, I'm a science student. I'm going for an interview to the space agency. So this elderly man, he just, shook his hand, and then he just starts walking, and immediately there's a government car comes and security guards and people saluting him and all that. And this young man is bewildered. He's like, who is this person, man? I thought he's just some elderly man reading Bhagavad Gita. And then he gets to know that this person who's reading Bhagavad Gita is none other than the chairman of the Indian Space Agency, So then he gets shocked. His respect for him changes totally different, because he thinks that this is just an old man reading scriptures. But then he gets to know that he's Bikram Sarabhai. the chairman of Indian Space Agency. So automatically his respect took to a different level. So similarly, if you do not know about Krishna, we just hear something about Krishna. Yeah, Krishna is there with Radharani, Krishna is there with Gopikas and all that. You just heard something very vague. But as Krishna devotees, when we get to read about Krishna's Leelas and we understand how powerful Krishna is, and why Krishna is called as Bhagavan, when we see all the divine Leelas of Krishna, obviously our love and how we look up to Krishna is something like unsurmountable, because it takes a totally different dimension, isn't it? Our love for Krishna. And this is what is very important. Why Bhagavatam is so important. It helps us to develop love for Krishna. It helps us to have not just blind faith, but our faith is backed on transcendental sacred scriptures. Our faith is based on the beautiful Leelas of Krishna, right? So when we want to understand Krishna's Leelas, there's four important things are important: the Nama, the Rupa, the Leela, and the Guna. All these four are very important. When we understand the power of Krishna's Nama, when we understand how beautiful the Krishna's Rupa is, we understand how beautiful the Leelas of Krishna is, and we understand what are the beautiful attributes, the 64 qualities of Krishna, or the 1,000 names of Krishna in Vishnu Sahasranama. When we understand the meanings of all these things, then we will start developing love for Krishna. So it is very important. Nama, Rupa, Leela, Guna, these four have to be, we have to go into the depth in order for us to develop that kind of a loving relationship with Krishna, to have that kind of a love. And then our chanting and everything takes to a different level, because we are able to relish, we are able to think about the beautiful pastimes of Krishna. So we can see that whether it is Kamsa, whether it's Baumasura, he was so powerful that he would even go and do something like this, taking away the earrings of the demigod's mother. So this is something unforgettable. Imagine taking away the umbrella of Varuna and the beautiful jewels. And here we find that that Bhumi Devi, when we say earth personified, it's Bhumi Devi, right? So she kind of like, now she appears before Krishna and greets him with a Vaijayanti flower. So everyone, whether it's Bhudevi, Varuna, Indra, Chandra, Surya, everybody is looking up to Krishna. So these are the devatas. So when we take directly to the worship of Krishna, all the devatas become so happy, because they themselves hold Krishna in great esteem over here. So we can see that how Bhumi Devi is returned the umbrella to Varuna, and she took the return with the dazzling earrings and offering the prayers to Krishna. The same thing happened with Indra. Indra was so puffed, right? And Krishna just showed that you are not the boss, I am the boss. And he just lifted the Govardhan hill to show him that I am the Supreme Lord. And it is also shown that even the demigods would be sometimes puffed with this false ego. But here we can see that Bhumi Devi also, she's offering her humility, showing her, offering her prayers to Krishna, and she goes down in obeisances in great ecstasy. And these are one of the four things, isn't it? You can see this obeisances is something which is very immortal. Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyadimam namaskuru mami vaisasi yuktva atmanam matparayan. Krishna says four things we need to do in order to attain Krishna Bhagavan. Engage your mind always in thinking of Krishna, become Krishna's devotee, and offer your obeisances to Krishna and worship Krishna. So this is what's happening here. She is doing the four things that Krishna has asked. Bhumi Devi is doing here. She is fell down in obeisances. And obviously, we know, like, this is something which is very important. Like, the way men do obeisances and the way women do obeisances is a bit different. But yeah, but still the most important thing to understand is that she has offered obeisances to Krishna, and she's offering her prayers, quote unquote. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who's always present with four symbols, namely his conch shell, disc, lotus, and club, and who's the Lord of the demigods. Please accept my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Lord, you are the super soul, and in order to satisfy the aspiration of your devotees, you descend on the earth in your various transcendental incarnations, which are just appropriate to the devotees' worshipful desire. Kindly accept my respectful obeisances. So we can see that here, this is very important, right? These pastimes are very important, because that gives us a sense perception of how the demigods are viewing Krishna. So here she's talking about Krishna, because if you remember back in the beginning when Krishna appeared with Devaki in the womb of Devaki, he just appeared as a four-armed Narayana form, along with his conch shell, disc, lotus, and club. And that's when Devaki asked, like, Krishna, please, if Kamsa comes to know, he's worried, and she says, please come back in your two-armed form. And that's when Krishna comes again in his original form. So here we can see that, the way she's relating, the Bhumi Devi is relating to Krishna, that as one of the forms is with the form. We also know And when Krishna showed his different forms to Arjuna, one of the form that he showed is the four-armed Narayana form as well. And so here she's reflecting to Krishna, who's the Lord of the demigods. And this is what we get to know. And so two things are important, right? One, we can see that Krishna himself says, Bhoktaram Yajanatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatamam Shakti. Krishna himself says, one who's very conscious of that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all the sacrifice, one who understands that he is the supreme Lord of all the planets. And the same thing here, we can see Bhumi Devi is saying, like, you are the Lord of all the demigods and you are the super soul. So this is something which is Bhoktaram Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarva. He's the master of all the demigods, the master of all planets as well. So here, this is what Bhumi Devi is offering, and just to satisfy the aspiration of your devotees, you descend to the earth. So this is the thing, right? Even Devaki and Mother Yashoda, all of them, they have immense tapas they have done, austerity they have done to get Krishna as the son. And so Krishna is always reciprocating to the aspiration of his devotees and taking and appearing on this planet. And comes here, you can see, and here also Bhumi Devi is addressing that you descended on this planet in different incarnation, right? Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya duskritam dharma samstapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So you descend in various incarnation in different yuga. So which is just appropriate to the devotees' worshipful desire. Kindly accept my respectful obeisances. So here we can find that Bhumi Devi, with so much of humility, she is offering her obeisances. She knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is the original Narayan. She also knows that Krishna coming in different avatars as well. So here she's offering obeisances, and the prayers are going to continue, but I want to stop here over here, just in the interest of time, just to respect your time. So we just stopped over here. Let Bhumi Devi is offering her obeisances, and she's going to go continue with the remaining obeisances, which we will cover in the next week's chapter. I just want to open for any reflections, corrections, realizations. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to contribute. I was just thinking in the first part of the story when what was it, the Mura demon? What was his name?
Mura. Baumasura, and he had a Mura.
Yeah, but it was a 5-headed demon. And of course, Krishna takes out a Sudarshan chakra, and boom, the heads are gone. I think a lot of times these different stories where the heads are knocked off, it's also symbolic, or it can be looked at symbolically as well as literally, but also symbolically, where the severing of the head is taken as the ahankara, because these demons are just so filled up with pride and ego.
Yes, it's a sign of ahankara, Prabhuji. Yes, absolutely.
Or there's so many stories with Daksha, Shishupal. I mean, here the heads get divided. It's, taken off. So many stories.
Yes, Prabhuji. And it's very, very interestingly, even when you go to the temple, that's why one of the ritual that they do with the coconut, it's like breaking of the ego. It's very symbolic.
Yeah, it's symbolic.
You break the ego, and then inside is where you find the white purity of the bhakti. By breaking into the, you just have to keep ego, edging God out. Just keep it out, and only when you break through the ego that you get that realization, that love for Krishna. Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. That's what I was just thinking in this chapter, where you can see how Krishna starts using his Sudarshana chakra and put an end to the demonic people. So he comes with a specific mission.
Yeah, quick and easy. Just take out Sudarshan chakra.
Yeah.
And boom, finished.
Yeah. It's so interesting to see, even though Krishna was like, on one hand, so much of her personalities is what brings to my mind, Prabhuji. Like on one hand, Krishna is playing the flute, spending time with the people of Vrindavan, engaging in so much of love with the gopis and with Radharani and things like that. So normally we find, like, when you come across somebody, a very soft person, you won't find in that person, you won't find the other side where he's so aggressive and he could just go and challenge and do things like that. But here you can find like Krishna is such a personality that while he's very soft as the butter towards the devotees and how he acknowledges the love that they have for them and how he reciprocates. On the other hand, Krishna can be as strong as a thunderbolt as well, putting an end to the other and to the demonic people as well. So when it comes to that, to fighting, he's this other side of Krishna where he can even defeat even the most strongest demoniac people as well. And
exactly. He has multi sides to his personality.
yes.
So yeah, to the devotee, he's loving and caring and nurturing and wonderful pastimes and leelas. But with the egoistic enemies or the asuras, it's he's quick to kill, or Nrsingadev, or any number of pastimes where Krishna is really powerful, and it doesn't hesitate to kill the demons. So again, it could be taken symbolically. He's killing the demoniac mentality, but also literally he kills the demons. He doesn't have to take counsel from anyone, declare war. He just does it.
Yes, Prabhuji, so well said. And also with Yuga after Yuga, as you mentioned, Prabhuji, just to add to the point, Yuga after Yuga, when at the time of Satya Yuga, the demoniac and the divine people lived in different planets. And in Treta Yuga, you find demoniac and the divine people lived on the same planet, but they were in different parts, like Ravana and Rama. And when it came to Dwapara Yuga, they not only lived on the same planet, but they lived as cousins as Kauravas and in Pandavas. And when it comes to Kali Yuga, it is not among in the different families also, but it's same in the mind as the same person. Both the demonic and divine qualities are there, which is why Krishna explains the divine and demonic. So Yuga after Yuga, you can see that how the things have happened from different to same planet, different kingdoms, and again same family, and now in the same mind.
When I go to India next time, I want to pick up some copies of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on the Bhagavatam, Jiva Goswami's commentary on the Bhagavatam, Sridhar Swami's commentary on the Bhagavatam. I hope to be able to look up where in the story in the 8th canto, the Samudra Manthan, the churning of the milk ocean, where you have the Devas and the Asuras. And yes, it's a literal story, but also it's a story of allegory where we're practicing sadhana, but we have to deal with the as you said, the demons and the devas within our own consciousness or within our own heart. If I can find, because Prabhupada never gives that kind of allegorical interpretation in his commentary in the Bhagavatam, but I hope to find that kind of allegorical understanding from other commentators. And if I can, I know Bhakti Gadhil will accept my story that I've written about the Lord Shiva drinking the ahankara, or the alahala poison being the ahankara. In other words, these stories can be taken allegorically, symbolically as well, but they won't accept it unless I can find other Vaishnava acharyas looking at these stories also and that level of symbolism.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, that would be really, very interesting.
Or even now, okay, we got 400 million people going to Mahakumbha Mela.
Yes.
But, their mentality is basically anti-Krishna consciousness. They're going for mundane moksha. Devotees may go, but they're going to preach. That's a different thing. But it's all based on this story of Samudra Manthan. Everyone in India knows this story, the churning of the milk ocean. But this allegorical interpretation, as I'm trying to establish it, has at least I haven't been able to find any really good sources. So the churning of the milk ocean is basically we're churning the ocean of bhakti within our own hearts. But it's again, it's the asuras and the devas, the demoniac side as well as the devotee side that we struggle with. That's what devotees struggle with. It's not easy, and that's part of the purifying process of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Prabhuji. Sure, Prabhuji. That would be nice actually to find references in that. I mean, it's interestingly, yeah, as you mentioned about Mahakumbh Mela, it seems to be like the most happening thing right now in India. But as you mentioned, liberation is not our aim. Our aim is to be a devotee of Krishna, whether it's heaven or hell. That's our main aim, to be a devotee of Krishna, in the loving service of Krishna. The idea is not merge into God, but is to serve.
Well, a devotee does not deny the impersonal Brahman. But what we cannot tolerate is when the transcendentalists say that's where spiritual life ends. You say, no, that's the beginning.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So they're going just for the benefit of moksha. And unless they meet, some ISKCON devotees there at Kumbh Mela and get some Prabhupada's books or some prasadam, they'll that's as far as their spiritual life goes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Everybody's in a different state of consciousness, or what the kind of sampradaya they're following, and that's a different place. It's a melting point of people from all different sampradayas, and everybody joining over there. But the important thing is to understand the level of the bhakti life.
Yeah,
I think this here is all about liberation, but here what we are mainly focusing about bhakti. And as you mentioned, Brahma effulgence or impersonal Brahma is not the end goal for us. In fact, Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratistaham amritasya vyayasya sashvatasya hi dharmasya sukasya ekantiyasya. The basis of the impersonal Brahman, Krishna says.
So many places, Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam.
Yes, yeah. So that's not anything,
that knowledge is generally not taught, other than ISKCON. Yeah, there are some Vaishnava sampradayas, but they're not very strong. But ISKCON is definitely, propounding it. But I mean, the general mentality of followers of Sanatana Dharma is an impersonal understanding. Go and take the Amrit Snan, the sacred Amrit Snan, where you take the bath and you get the Amrit and you achieve moksha and you become free from all sins. Well, if it's so easy, I mean, come on. It sounds so. It becomes very sentimental. Oh, I've achieved liberation by just taking a bath at Mahakumbh Mela.
Yeah. The objective is different in Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji.
Exactly. I'm sure it has some purifying effect. I was watching a few videos about Mahakumbh Mela, and still very much influence. You see all the Naga Babas, and there's a lot of Shaivite influences. It's definitely.
More of Shaivite influences.
Yeah, with the mood of moksha. Take a bath and get your moksha. Step right up.
Yes,
anyway, that's going on. That's why I'm just kind of pointing that out.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's very interesting to see, like, especially, I mean, you wouldn't have, I mean, because we are in Krishna consciousness, we are able to relate to all these things and trying to understand things like what's the level of understanding, or what's the perspective of others, and what is it that we are aiming for, because our aim is Krishna Bhakti. And for us, Bhakti, when Krishna also mentioned that when you're practicing Bhakti, Mukti comes also along with that.
Yeah, it's a side product.
It's a side this thing. Like, it's not like
it's not the main thing. It comes out of me.
In many places, Krishna says, you will be liberated and you will come to me. So Krishna is saying both the things will happen by practicing Bhakti. So that way, in many levels, Bhakti is more important, because this gets you the prema for Krishna prema. And because no matter how far we go up to the Brahmaloka, Krishna says there's every chance that again you come back. It's only when you reach the Supreme Krishna's planet that there's no question of coming back. Otherwise, till that point of time, this life cycles, we can't escape that.
Yeah, Vaikuntha Loka or Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
On a side note, also, Narendra Modi just gave a major talk at the inauguration of a new temple in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai.
yes, Prabhuji.
Did you see that? So
Yes, Prabhuji.
that's I mean, for ISKCON worldwide, it's fascinating. What to say of India?
Yes.
It's very, very auspicious that Narendra Modi is doing that and praising Prabhupada. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Of course, you could say it's for politics, but at the same time, it seems like he genuinely means it. He really has affection for ISKCON.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. And he did mention also saying that he said he was so happy to see wherever he going in the world, when he goes out of country, when people greet him with Hare Krishna, he was saying like, I feel so joyful listening to that.
Yeah,
Hare
that's
Krishna.
just it. ISKCON is really the only institution that has taken something that's a Sanatana Dharma in a real way, influential way around the world.
Yes.
He knows that.
Yes,
He knows that.
as of yeah, in terms of philosophy, bhakti, that's why I always say like Prabhupada has given 360-degree worship, like everything, like whether you talk about mantra meditation, bhakti yoga, from any angle, if you look at it, there's a philosophy and there's everything, like everything is like strongly grounded. It's just that it has to reach to people through the books. And that's the reason why Prabhupada insists so much on spreading this, giving these books to everyone, because that's the only way when people read, because no matter how much we say, only when people go through those tough times and read a book, then they will come to that understanding. Otherwise, no matter how much we tell them, it doesn't get in unless the person is ready for it.
Anyway, things are happening in an auspicious way. You know,
Yes.
devotees are at Kumbh Mela preaching. Narendra Modi is giving a major speech at the inauguration of a large temple complex. Tulsi Gabbard in a few days, a Hare Krishna devotee, will be in one of the most powerful positions in the world. So it's an interesting time to be living in Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Prabhuji. I heard about more than 100,000 meals being served every day by ISKCON in Kumbh Mela, and they're joining Adani Group.
I saw a video with Garanga Prabhu, big tent.
Yeah.
You know, they're very expert. They know how to set up a huge kitchen, and you know, and things they put the food on a rail, and they rail it and move it. Anyway, they're very efficient. They know exactly what they're doing for cooking. Well, yeah, 100,000 people a day. I mean, it's it's a lot. Of course,
the kind of equipment they were using is to like literally they're using like heavy high stuff trolleys to pull the things and
yeah, the things are on. I saw it was on a rail system,
yeah.
so you can once it's cooked and then in buckets to serve out of, you can easily move it around.
Yeah, it's amazing, Prabhuji, to how they're thinking out of the box to come up with ideas like that and doing somewhere very far off in another state.
Well, they've done it. They've done it in other places, and they basically have a setup where they have portable kitchens, and they just set it up underneath a tent.
Yes.
Anyway, so that's quite amazing. Of course, it takes lots of money, but devotees are preaching, distributing prasadam, distributing the holy name, distributing Prabhupada's books. You know, having situations set up where devotees are preaching all day long, lectures or one-on-one. So yeah, for a devotee, Kumbh Mela is all about preaching and distributing, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. But for the impersonalists, it's very different.
Yes, Prabhuji, great opportunity, because I heard 400 million people are gathering there, so that's like quite a big opportunity to.
400. You can't imagine how many people that is. 400 million.
400 million people gathering at one place is like everybody. And I've seen the reaction of foreigners who are coming there, and everybody is so impressed with the kind of arrangements that have been made. Everybody is like praising that such meticulous arrangements have been made, actually. So, which is good. Yeah. Sanatana Dharma ultimately,
At the same time, for an outsider to look at some of these images of the crazy Shaivites and they're smoking their marijuana bong and they're naked and running. I mean, just for a Westerner, some of it just appears like crazy Hindus.
Yes, Prabhuji. All kind of in a place like that, there's definitely going to be different perspectives, and But one thing that amazed is to see like how well such a large gathering can happen and arrange so meticulously.
That's definitely, they're saying how well it's arranged and peaceful. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. It's in the news now.
Yes.
And this Mahakumbh Mela is, it's being combined with high tech too. It's interesting.
Yes.
Much more than before.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Anyway, anyone else want to say something?
Yes, Amoga Prabhu, Sanchit Maturi, Hamal Prabhu, anyone else, Ajay Prabhu, anyone else wants to say anything? Sorry, we just speaking.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's a wonderful discussion, Prabhuji. I'm interested to hear everything.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice to some of these things. We only when devotees gather, we just speak about some of these things. So it's always nice.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Same here. It was really nice. This a nice class. Of course, every different Krishna pastime we hear, it's always nectar, even if we have heard it before. And of course, the discussion on Kumbh Mela is like as amazing as like it was really nice listening to you and Prabhu. So I just listened, not contributed. But yeah, I mean, most of the things you've said, it's a very nice arrangement. But both central government and state government of UP, like even this, today, like these days, you do not get if the mineral water in 1 rupees, but he has made arrangements like if you have this scanning everything on the phone like digital, if you just scan a code and just put 1 Indian rupee, I mean, like normally if £1 still has got some value, but 1 rupee in rupee hasn't. But in 1 rupee you can refill you will bring your own bottles and fill RO water. RO means the filtered water, iron free water. So even this level toilets and everything has been taken care of, and ISKCON has been doing really well, especially under the guidance of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. So, and Gauranga Prabhu, being an IITian, how he's using his material knowledge into Krishna consciousness. And earlier we see him, like last few years, he has been setting up this kitchen for 10,000 when Maharaj goes for his Kartik Katha and all that all over India. And now he's become so expert that since normally he always asks for donation and all, but this time Adani has donated, and then he's able to still do that. And we saw recently they went to Golden Temple, and they saw how they do big langars. I think this could be the reason also. They do big langars because in Amritsar they do really, really big langars for not 400, not 100,000, but a lot. So yeah, they got some idea. Early you see ISKCON, they used to do roti. The Matajis used to, make those rotis by hand, but because it's 100,000, so they got a roti machine, and
they
they're
got
like
machines. Exactly.
they got machine.
Machine. They gotta make the dough. Of course, the dough is made by the machine, but then basically, they're expensive machines to make that many
absolutely
rotis. But I was watching, boy, they're churning out rotis one after the left.
That's
and
good.
they look nice. They look like they puffed up, and then okay, great. Make some khichdi and some roti, and maybe some raita salad, something, whatever. The point is, it's very easy to feed a large population of people, 100,000 people a day. Of course, that's no joke, but still, they can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how a visionary Radhanath Maharaj is. Like we see all this in last, I think 6 months. There have been 6 or maybe 1 year, maybe 2024. There has been quite a few temples all over India, and and especially in Mumbai. I don't know. No, one is, I think, in a big complex, like it's in a big complex, flats and all, like big industrialist complex, and they have done a temple over there. So, and it has got similar architecture as the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. So all this coming up, and I mean, what I was listening to one of his disciples who was mentioning that, Radhanath Maharaj, because always Prabhupada used to say, Bombay is my office. So Radhanath Maharaj knows that, all the fund and the finance can come if we can churn those industrialists and make them into Krishna consciousness. And he mentioned,
but that's just it. They're spending money.
he mentions, he mentions that, this generation, like Adani, Ambani and all, they're giving, but if you do not influence the next generation, like their next generation, Adani son, Ambani son, then they will not, if they are not Krishna conscious, then you will not get any more funds. So he's thinking so much ahead of his time.
Yeah.
That you have to bring them. So you see Radhanath Maharaj going even to the weddings and such, like
Yeah.
normal. Yeah,
Big
yeah. He's
deal.
doing
It's a
all
big
that.
deal.
Yeah.
He knows. He goes to the wedding. That means he gets the children from the wedding also.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah.
able. I mean, he's trying to influence the next generation. So really influenced by his, like, he's done his, of course, the basic things which Prabhupada wanted to do, and now he's going way
Of course.
beyond. Like, yeah. So it's really all glories to his service. Amazing.
Very nice.
Yeah, so maybe I've taken a bit of time, so sorry about that.
No, Satyaji, it's nice. Thanks for adding to that. Yeah, it's really nice, interesting to see, like, people who are well known in the society, they're just doing some social activities like this, like, joining with ISKCON and giving a hand. That really makes it's a mutual thing. Even for them also, it is, they're everywhere just mentioning that Adani Group has done this. And at the same time, for ISKCON also, it's good that they're partnering like this. There's more awareness, and someone like Gauranga Prabhu coming forward, and he comes from the top IIT institute, and someone like that serving ISKCON is like a big inspiration, Prabhuji, for a lot of people in India, because people have the think that, okay, monks means, they're not very well read, or maybe they may not. But here you can find like someone from the top institute like IIT is like not an ordinary one, and someone like that.
Yeah. On that note, Prabhu, yeah, I don't know if you have seen or not. Like, there's another IIT Baba. They're saying like his video is quite viral in YouTube as well. It came up to my feed, and I just saw this man. He's I think not. Looks like he's in his 30s, early 30s or something, and he's from IIT, done his aerospace engineering, master's degree in designing and all, and he's very learned. I mean, he's learned everything under the sun in science, and he was into depression, and then he went to spirituality. He had a high package job in Canada. He left all that, learning spirituality, which was good to that point. But then of course it's Krishna, like, where his search takes him. So he went to Sadhguru and that part, and then influenced by Shiva. 9 months he was there and all that. Then he went to Rishikesh and the northern India. And then all these, the Babas who come here, the sons, they managed to influence him in such a way that he became a Shiva devotee. Till that also is fine. But, as Ramnath Prabhu, he has said, like, what we ask to Shiva, like if you ask for bhakti, that we want to serve Krishna, then he will give that. And if you want something else, he will give that as well. So somehow, one interview I heard him yesterday saying that, I really felt pity for him. I don't know, he's quite intelligent and he can do a lot. But what he said, that really made me think, oh my God, why didn't this happen to him? So he's saying, Mahadev has told me I am the Kalki avatar, and I'm the Kalki avatar, and and then he says up to that I'll become God. So
Wait, Sadhguru said that?
No, not Sadhguru Prabhu. I mean, this person, maybe Sham Prabhu, you can forward one of his interviews, but most of his interviews are in Hindi, Prabhu. So I think one I found in English, but yeah, maybe. So he's a very intellectual person. He has got even brains. Like he what he wants for the future is, like, he said, I do not want to be associated with any group. He had been to ISKCON, he had been to all the Shaivites thing, and he's been everywhere. But he Premanand Swami in Vrindavan, he's been to everything. But what he's saying is, do not want to be attached to any. I do not want to be a sannyasi. I want to be vairagi. Left everything. Do not need maybe the guru who has brought him here. He's from Kashi. And he said he's still my temporary guru because I'm learning from him, and he's trying to understand Panini, Vyakran, the Sanskrit and all that. He's quite hi-fi. But the only thing is, he got bewildered into all this, and he's saying, like, Shiva told him that he is Kalki and he will become God. So that, but other than that, what he's saying is like makes quite a lot of sense. But yeah, that was not the good part about it. He's just a young boy. He's Prabhu.
Yeah, but these things are going on where ultimately the Mayavad philosophy takes over, and you feel like you're Kalki, you're Krishna, you're an avatar, and it spoils everything, of course. Anyway,
Yeah, I was
hopefully,
thinking, I wish Prabhupada, I mean, he had met Prabhupada, then he would have been a
yeah.
devotee, because not everybody has got this aura to convince such intellectual people. So maybe I was just thinking, sad for him. But yeah, maybe Shiva guides him one day, hopefully.
Yeah, interesting is that 2 IITs, 1 IITN is completely Krishna Bhakta and another.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and and the thing is, the funny thing is, both are there in Mahakumbh. Nobody knows each other. Maybe Gauranga Prabhu is busy doing his service, seva and all, and he's there like saying these things, which is like, everybody has got, that's what saying. It's like Krishna. We all have, it's our prarabdha. We have got different path and we just go that path. And it's Krishna's clock. Without causeless mercy, we cannot just understand God in one life. So yeah, so we are so like humbled, and then we just try to, all we want is his lotus feet and surrender and service, but that mode is difficult for other people to understand. So very fortunate, we would say, I mean, being in the association. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why Krishna gives different types of yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. So because it appeals to different people, Prabhuji is frozen. Prabhuji, can you hear us? Ramana Prabhuji?
I can hear you. Yeah, it's getting late.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry.
I'm falling asleep. Wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your wonderful association, and we will again meet next Thursday. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your evening.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, sir.
Hari Bol to Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Hari Bol.
Thank you,
Hare Bol.
Prabhuji.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhubhyo
Paritanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Ananta
Ananta
Koti
Koti Vaishnavrinda.